It's pretty difficult to find anything in the watch world that is truly unique. When you do, it's usually thousands of dollars, or there's some pretty big compromises. However, Mcquaide are a new brand from the UK, and their Q1 is a completely capable dive piece that celebrates unique watchmaking in every last piece. It's packed with some incredible specifications, but still comes in at a very reasonable price point. If you want to check them out, they're linked in the description. My name's Jason, I'm your watch guy today. Let's have a look at it. Okay, straight away, I think you can tell exactly why this is so unique. Mcquaide have a little thing for Damascus steel, and honestly, I can't blame them. One of my favourite things to do after a long day of work is to sit back, watch YouTube videos of people making Damascus steel knives. Yep, that's right, the Scouse kid likes watching people make knives. But this is something that is usually reserved for a much higher price bracket in the watch world. Zinn released their 1800 Damzena for €8,000. This Mcquaide has an insane water resistance rating and an SW200 movement packed into it. Better than that, it'll only set you back £750, which I know isn't cheap, but it is a fantastic deal. The case itself has a fantastic, unique, pronounced pattern throughout it, and that follows through into the bezel insert. This is a diver, and as you would expect, it has some real heft to it. I love the submerged crown in those bulky crown guards. It is obviously signed with the Mcquaide logo screwed into the case and has a fantastic coin edge grip to it. To the other side, they've introduced a helium release valve, and that makes complete sense when you consider the fact that this has a 1000 meter water resistance, really showing off this piece's capability. The bezel has a 120 click motion to it with a very crisp edge, which you can imagine makes it very easy to use. I love that they've gone without borders for the dive markers. It definitely adds a little bit of distinction to it. I really expected this piece to be way outside of my wearability range. That being said, I've actually really enjoyed having it on the wrist. It has a 43.2mm diameter, which isn't the biggest in the world. It's not completely unreasonable, but it definitely applies that dive presence. The lug to lug is certainly a much longer one than I am used to at 52mm, but that, again, deep dive watch presence, and it is a whopping 15mm thick. Now, I've had a good think of why this is such a big watch, but it still wears really well, even on my childlike wrists. And I'm pretty sure it's down to that protruding display case back. Now, that means that the case will sit off my wrist, but it also means that that case back is the wearable part of the watch. Speaking of that display case back though, you'd expect it is a screw down case back, but it also shows off that SW200 movement that runs this piece, giving the second hand a much more aesthetically pleasing high beat sweep, and it'll keep you Swiss fanboys much happier. It definitely heightens the prestige of the materials being used, and it will make this £750 sound much more reasonable. The case is incredible, the specifications live up to that. But how about the dial? Obviously, Mcquaide couldn't fit this with a basic bitch flat dial against that Damascus steel. They've applied a guilloche pattern to this brass dial, and the crimson red is absolutely beautiful. But if you wanted a slightly different look, they do sell this with a blue and a black dial. The dial really does introduce a very intricate nature to the watch, which works with that Damascus steel in a very contrasting type of way. The depth to this display is definitely on point, and that is something that I need in a dive piece. Without that, these watches can look rather flat and even boring, but they haven't missed out here. The chaptering matches the tone of the dial with a minute track printed to the outer edge. The hour markers are almost embedded into that chaptering. The batons have a crimson border to them, and we have a BGW9 Lume signature here. That follows into the Dauphine style handset, completed with a high polished border and of course the Lume center. There's a lovely touch to the second hand with a red tip distinguishing it, which isn't very apparent in this version, but when you look at the other two, it really gives that little pop. They've not left this Lume signature to chance. The handset and the applied hour markers are well filled, which is exactly what you want and expect at this price range. But the dive bezel is also lumed, and I think that really does top it off. It's not something that every brand does throughout the entire bezel, but if you really want that capability as a dive piece, a deep dive piece, it's something that you need to do. It shows that they've really completed a beautiful looking diver, but one that is completely capable in that real world application. I don't think you'd expect anything other than a rubber band on this piece. It's like strawberries and cream. It just works. The texture to the upper side definitely distinguishes it from cheaper rubber bands that you get on the market, and that follows into the keepers, which I think is a really nice touch. I also do like that they have contrasting stitching to the outer edge of the band. It stops the entire look from just being flat. Shockingly enough, I'm not even wearing this one on the final setting. I've still got another notch to go. I do have a couple of improvements that they could make, or moans if you would like. This is a fantastic offering, from the materials of the case to the specifications to the overall design. But to start this off, the buckle doesn't match the case, and it's also not signed. I think that is a glaring missed opportunity there. I understand it's not the easiest thing to go Damascus, 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 but here I think they really needed to. Secondly, the date window doesn't really do it for me. I think it unbalances the dial overall, and it's not colour matched either, so that's a little bit of a downside to me, and I think it will be to a lot of other people too. Really, it needed to be at the 6 o'clock, and it needed a nicer border to it just to incorporate it to the piece. The square nature really draws away from those thin baton markers. It's just different, way too different. With that being said, I genuinely expected this watch to cost way more, or have some much more glaring flaws to it. But at £750, a Damascus steel diver, I think this is a fantastic buy. And with it being the first release from Mcquaide, I'd love to see where they're going to go next. I definitely think it's going to be one of the exciting brands to watch over the next couple of years. Thanks for watching today, guys. The Mcquaide website is linked in the description, along with a load of other useful links. You'd be hard pressed to find anything like this as the same type of price on the market right now, and it's brilliant to see it from such a young British brand. Definitely stepping out of the box on the first release and really going for it. Well done to them. Remember to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.